So if as you're telling the story and you're thinking back to the time that you're a stay-at-home dad, and then you sit where you are right now having this conversation, is it somewhat unimaginable to you?
It is. It's absolutely. Back then, the thought that anyone would ever want to buy anything from me that I created was the furthest thing from my mind. I wasn't a marketer. I wasn't a salesperson. I just worked for a paycheck before and not been terribly successful at that. So the idea that anyone would buy something from me was crazy. The idea that someone would want to interview me actually and have fancy cameras and a set and it's just like. No. And if you would have asked anyone around me that surrounded me, they'd be like, Jeff, why would people want to interview Jeff?
But here's the interesting thing. It's not like you had some guidebook or reference point. You literally started with a need, which is saying, I need to make some income and I have an interest, basically, which I guess was the stock market.
Yeah.
And what I find ironic is saying, I have no money to invest in the market, but I still want to study it. Maybe what I'm studying I could share and it's worth something to somebody. But you started to figure out these launch models to be able to work from home and get this done. And you innovated this whole thing, and you literally created an industry. Because I've in my own businesses have used your work, and it's translated into millions and millions of dollars of revenue. And when I look at how you got started, it wasn't like you went to some slick Ivy League university, had a degree, you studied and analyzed the market, you saw a market need, all those kinds of business cases that you try to that feel. You're a guy that literally had $400 a year of disposable income and figured it out. Is there something special about you? I mean, how did you get that figured out?
Very gradually and incrementally. I would like to say I just had this genius plan from the start, but I'm a big fan of baby steps and just moving in the direction and then course correcting. An analogy I like to use is golf. So I've done some golfing in my life. I'm not a huge golfer, but I've done some golfing. And the thing I've noticed about golf is it's a little white ball and there's this little hole and it's a third of a mile away.
Right.
And it's completely improbable that you can hit this little golf ball into this hole a third of the mile. It's just ridiculous. But you can take someone who's never golfed before, their first hole ever, and they'll swing and they might miss the ball. They'll probably miss the ball. The first time they hit it, it'll go sideways, maybe even backwards. But you give them 10 or 12 or 13 or 14 tries, and they'll end up every time putting that ball in the hole. And it's because they gradually course correct. They hit that first one, and it's way over there, and the second one's way over there. But as they get closer, they course correct. I'm a big fan of baby steps, of just taking that first step, that next step, and then gradually course correcting until you hit the goal. And so for me, it was desperation. Now so many people are interested in impact, and I'm in this game now for impact. That's why I'm here with you. That's why I traveled to be here with you, for impact.
Right.
Because that's what my world's evolved into. But back then it was desperation and needing money.
Yeah.
But I would say from the start, I did have a few things. This internet, this connected world was just starting to happen. This was 1996 when I first started. And I had some instincts, I think, that served me well, because I think the world really did change with this connected world. And there's some certain words that get tossed around, like integrity and authenticity and congruence, that really, that's what business is largely about now, because everything is so transparent. People can look up your reviews instantly. They can check your social. They can see what you're really delivering to the world. And everything I've done, my entire model of business is built on honest, congruent sharing with people and building value before you ask for the sale. And that was something I think I got that from my parents. Really. I think I just got that from my parents, and I carried that into business. And I didn't have anyone to tell me that's not the right way to do business, because I was just figuring it out on my own. In 1996, 1997, there was almost no one doing business online. And so I didn't have anyone to learn from. So I just stumbled into this and gradually evolved it, and here we are today.
I think there are many points you made, but one of them that I think is interesting is like you don't come across as the guy that's going to get hired to be a salesperson in a corporate environment that can go out there and push a product, what have you. But a fundamental principle saying, you know, just build some value before you even ask is literally the driver, you know, or one of the big drivers behind, you know, what you do. And it's almost in that respect, it's almost not sales. I mean, technically, I guess it's sales, but it's not salesmanship, so to speak.
Right.
And that principle applied to the very first launch you did still applies now just as much, or no?
It absolutely, more so now. More so, because there's more transparency now. People can find you, they can see you, they can look at reviews. That stuff didn't exist.
Right.
You know, my first probably 8 years online, there was not even a photo of me online because we didn't share photos back then.
Right.
But if you would have at the beginning, and frankly, I went through this. So before I started this, I was like, my original thinking was, we need more money. Mary needs some kind of relief of this pressure of having to support the family and getting up in the dark and coming home in the dark and working so hard. And so I need to make money in some way, so I thought maybe I'll go get a job. And so I went to all these career counseling and I took these tests to see what you were suited for. And I don't have them anymore, but I guarantee if you looked at them and you looked at this whole spectrum, like of what's the most likely place I'd have success, sales would be like, I'd be in the 0 percentile for
Right,
sales.
right.
I have no sales experience. I have no sales instincts.
Right.
And really, I think what I ended up doing is because I didn't know how to sell, I was uncomfortable with selling. I was uncomfortable with asking for money. Then I ended up overcompensating by building value before I asked for the sale. And lo and behold, it ended up like working really, really well and turning out to be the way the world is tilted that way now.
Thanks so much for being here and watching that video. And can I ask you to please subscribe to our channel so you can find out when we're posting new content. You'll be alerted right away when we do. To share this with people you think might benefit from the information, and certainly it helps us if you like the video. So if you like what you just saw, go ahead and hit that like button. And again, thank you so much for being here with me right now.